What if I told you there's a riddle so profound, so puzzling, that even the universe itself can't solve it? A question that defies logic and bends reality as we know it. These are paradoxes, questions and ideas that challenge the very foundation of our understanding, like the famous grandfather paradox. What happens if you travel back in time and accidentally erase your own existence? Or the liar's paradox. If someone says, "I always lie," are they telling the truth or lying? These are more than riddles. They're keys to unlocking deeper truths about time, space, and existence itself. Today, we're diving into the most mind-bending paradoxes that challenge everything we think we know about reality. These aren't just intellectual exercises. They're puzzles that shake the foundations of physics, philosophy, and even our everyday lives. Prepare to have your mind blown. Let's begin. Before we dive into the fascinating world of paradoxes, let's take a moment to understand what a paradox actually is. The word paradox comes from the Greek words para, meaning beyond, and doxa, meaning belief or opinion. At its core, a paradox is a statement or situation that contradicts itself or defies logic. Imagine a riddle that shouldn't make sense, but somehow forces us to think deeper. For example, consider the famous liar's paradox. This statement is false. If the statement is true, then it must be false. But if it's false, then it's actually true. Confused? That's exactly the point. Paradoxes are more than just puzzles or word games. They push the boundaries of human understanding. In philosophy, paradoxes force us to question our assumptions about truth, existence, and morality. In mathematics, they've shaped entire fields like set theory and logic. And in physics, paradoxes like the Schrödinger's cat paradox challenge our understanding of the universe itself. Paradoxes matter because they remind us that the world isn't always as straightforward as it seems. They stretch the limits of what we believe is possible, forcing us to think critically and creatively. In this video, we'll explore paradoxes in 4 categories. First, we'll look at logical paradoxes, the ones that mess with our reasoning. Then, we'll dive into time-based paradoxes that challenge our understanding of causality and time travel. After that, we'll explore philosophical paradoxes that question reality itself. And finally, we'll look at real-world implications, where paradoxes intersect with science and technology in unexpected ways. So, buckle up, because this journey will challenge your mind and your sense of reality. Let's start with the first category: logical paradoxes. Let's begin with one of the simplest yet most perplexing paradoxes ever conceived: the liar's paradox. At first glance, it seems like a straightforward statement, but let's break it down. If the statement is true, then it must be false, because it claims that it is false. But if it's false, then it must be true, because it accurately describes itself as false. Confused yet? This creates a logical loop that can't be resolved. There's no way to determine if the statement is true or false, because each possibility contradicts itself. This paradox challenges the foundations of logic and language, showing us that even something as simple as a statement can create an unsolvable puzzle. The liar's paradox is more than a word game. It's a doorway into deeper questions about how we define truth, how language works, and whether every question has an answer. Now, let's move from language to mathematics with a paradox that shook the foundations of set theory: Russell's paradox. In the early 20th century, mathematician Bertrand Russell posed a question that revealed a major flaw in set theory. Imagine a set that contains all sets that do not contain themselves. Now ask yourself, does this set contain itself? If it does contain itself, then by definition, it shouldn't. But if it doesn't contain itself, then by definition, it should. This creates an inescapable contradiction, a paradox that undermines the idea of sets being neatly defined collections of objects. Russell's paradox had profound implications. It forced mathematicians to rethink the foundations of their field, leading to the development of new systems, like Zermelo-Fraenkel set theory, which introduced stricter rules to avoid such contradictions. What makes logical paradoxes so fascinating is how they expose the cracks in systems we often take for granted, whether it's language, logic, or mathematics. They remind us that even the simplest ideas can become infinitely complex when examined closely. With logical paradoxes setting the stage, let's take a step further into the realm of time travel and causality with temporal paradoxes. Time travel, a concept that has captured human imagination for centuries. From science fiction to theoretical physics, the idea of bending time opens the door to countless possibilities and countless paradoxes. Let's explore two of the most famous temporal paradoxes that make us question the very nature of time and causality. The grandfather paradox is a classic thought experiment in time travel. Let's take an example to better understand. Imagine you travel back in time and accidentally or intentionally prevent your grandfather from meeting your grandmother. If they never meet, they never have your parent. And if your parent is never born, neither are you. But if you were never born, how could you have traveled back in time to prevent their meeting in the first place? This paradox creates a logical loop with no clear resolution. It questions whether time travel to the past is even possible, and whether the universe would allow changes to a timeline. Could there be safeguards, like parallel timelines, or the self-consistency principle, to prevent such paradoxes? The grandfather paradox illustrates the fragility of causality, the cause and effect relationship that governs how events unfold. Now we will discuss the Bootstrap Paradox, which dives even deeper into the nature of causality. This paradox asks, what happens when an object, piece of information, or idea exists without an origin? Imagine a time traveler goes back to the 16th century and gives William Shakespeare a complete collection of his plays. Shakespeare then publishes these plays, and centuries later, the same time traveler reads them and decides to take them back to Shakespeare. The question is, who actually wrote the plays, Shakespeare or the time traveler? This is the essence of the Bootstrap Paradox, a causality loop where an object or piece of information seems to have no clear origin. It simply exists in an eternal cycle, defying the concept of linear time. The Bootstrap Paradox challenges our understanding of time and raises questions about free will and determinism. If events are predestined to happen in a loop, does anyone truly have agency in their actions? The Fermi Paradox doesn't involve time travel, but it is equally mind-bending. The Fermi Paradox asks why, in a universe as vast and ancient as ours, we haven't encountered any signs of alien civilizations. With billions of galaxies and trillions of planets, the odds of intelligent life seem overwhelmingly high. So why the silence? Could it be that civilizations destroy themselves before they can explore the stars? Or are we simply not looking in the right way? The Fermi Paradox reminds us of how much we don't know, not just about the cosmos, but about our place within it. Temporal paradoxes like the Grandfather and Bootstrap Paradox show us how fragile and complex time can be. They force us to question the very fabric of reality. And paradoxes like Fermi's remind us that the universe may hold answers that we're not yet ready to understand. Now, we will discuss some interesting philosophical paradoxes that will blow your mind. Philosophy has always been humanity's way of tackling life's biggest questions. But what happens when these questions lead to contradictions? Philosophical paradoxes challenge our understanding of identity, boundaries, and even motion itself. Let's explore three timeless puzzles that continue to baffle the greatest minds. First, we have the Ship of Theseus, a paradox that asks, what truly defines identity? Imagine a ship owned by the hero Theseus. Over the years, every single plank, nail, and sail is replaced with new materials. Once every original piece is gone, is it still the same ship? Now take it one step further. What if the old parts are reassembled into another ship? Which one is the real Ship of Theseus? The one made of new materials or the one rebuilt from the old? The Ship of Theseus forces us to question the nature of identity and change. It applies not just to objects, but to ourselves. If every cell in your body is replaced over time, are you still the same person you were years ago? This paradox resonates in fields like philosophy, psychology, and even artificial intelligence. As technology advances, it's a question we'll face more frequently. What makes something, or someone, themselves? Next, let's explore a paradox of vagueness, the Sorites Paradox, also known as the paradox of the heap. Here's the dilemma. If you take one grain of sand, it's not a heap. Add another, and it's still not a heap. But at some point, as you keep adding grains, it becomes a heap. So, where exactly does the transformation happen? When does not a heap become a heap? The Sorites Paradox highlights the problem of vagueness, how we struggle to define boundaries for concepts that exist on a spectrum. It's not just about sand. Think of other examples. When does a person become rich? Or when does an old car become a classic? This paradox shows us how arbitrary our definitions can be and challenges us to think critically about the language and categories we use in everyday life. Finally, we have Zeno's paradoxes, which take aim at something we all take for granted, motion itself. Zeno of Elea proposed several paradoxes, but let's focus on one, the dichotomy paradox. It claims that motion is impossible because to reach any destination, you must first get halfway there, then halfway to that point, and so on, infinitely. If there are an infinite number of points to cross, how can you ever reach your destination? On the surface, this seems absurd. We move all the time, but mathematically, it raises profound questions about infinity and continuity. Zeno's paradoxes challenge our understanding of space, time, and motion, while modern calculus offers a resolution by showing how infinite series can sum to a finite number. The paradoxes still inspire debate about the nature of reality. Philosophical paradoxes like these are more than intellectual exercises. They push us to rethink fundamental ideas about identity, boundaries, and even the fabric of existence itself. With these questions in mind, let's dive into the real-world implications of paradoxes and how they shape our understanding of the universe. Paradoxes aren't just abstract puzzles for philosophers and mathematicians. They have real-world implications that shape our understanding of reality, influence cutting-edge technology, and fuel debates about the human experience. Let's see how paradoxes leave their mark on quantum mechanics, modern technology, and philosophy itself. First, quantum mechanics, the science that governs the tiniest particles in the universe. At this scale, paradoxes are not just theoretical. They're part of the fabric of reality. Enter Schrödinger's cat, a thought experiment proposed by physicist Erwin Schrödinger to illustrate quantum superposition. Imagine a cat in a sealed box with a radioactive atom, a Geiger counter, and a vial of poison. If the atom decays, the poison is released and the cat dies. If it doesn't decay, the cat lives. Simple, right? But here's the twist. Until you open the box and observe the cat, quantum mechanics suggests it's both alive and dead simultaneously. This state of superposition defies our classical understanding of reality. Schrödinger's cat highlights the paradoxical nature of quantum observation. Does reality only exist when we observe it? This question isn't just academic. It's foundational to technologies like quantum computing, where particles can exist in multiple states at once, exponentially increasing computing power. Paradoxes also emerge in the realm of modern technology, particularly in algorithms and artificial intelligence. These systems often grapple with logical contradictions that can lead to unexpected outcomes. Consider the paradox of choice in AI. If an algorithm is programmed to optimize decisions but faces two equally optimal choices, it can enter a feedback loop, unable to resolve the contradiction. This is sometimes called the Buridan's ass problem, a nod to a philosophical paradox where a donkey starves because it can't choose between two identical piles of hay. These challenges aren't just hypothetical, they're critical in designing AI for real-world applications, like self-driving cars or medical diagnostics, where split-second decisions can have life or death consequences. Finally, let's turn to philosophy, where paradoxes fuel age-old debates about free will and determinism. Here's the dilemma. If every action is the result of prior causes, is free will an illusion? But if our actions are truly free, how can they fit into a universe governed by cause and effect? This is the paradox at the heart of determinism. Modern neuroscience has added fuel to the fire, with studies suggesting that our brains may make decisions before we're consciously aware of them. Does this mean our choices are pre-programmed? Or is there room for genuine freedom? Philosophical paradoxes like these don't just stretch our minds. They shape how we view ourselves and our place in the universe. They remind us that even our most fundamental beliefs about reality may not be as straightforward as they seem. Paradoxes, those puzzling contradictions, are more than just intellectual exercises. They are windows into the unknown, tools that challenge the way we think about logic, time, and existence itself. As we explored today, paradoxes show us that the universe isn't always bound by the rules we expect. Now it's your turn. Which paradox blew your mind the most? Was it the time loop insanity of the Bootstrap Paradox, the infinite halfway points of Zeno's paradoxes, or something else entirely? Let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If this video made you question reality, be sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you want to keep your interests into the mysteries of existence, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss our mind-blowing videos. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and remember, the truth is out there.